English 201, week 3, part 4. I'm trying to finish up with the phoenix and the turtle, to talk about theme, and also more metaphor. The phoenix and the turtle in the poem, the two characters, for the people there, they are a metaphor. The people at the funeral seem to treat the phoenix and the turtle dove like a metaphor, meaning that they are metaphorically beauty, metaphorically love, metaphorically truth, meaning faithfulness. It's beauty, truth, and rarity, grace, and all simplicity. Are now being buried today. So for the people at the funeral, these two birds are a symbol of beauty and love and faithfulness. And so that when they die, beauty and faithfulness and love are dead everywhere, and that's why everyone's very sad. It's a metaphor in the poem that these two birds, their powerful love between just in their one relationship, represents everybody's love everywhere. When I got divorced like 10 years ago, a lot of my friends thought that my first wife and I were happy together, and we were not. But they expressed that they felt like, man, if you guys can't make it, nobody can make it. Like, we thought you guys were so happy, and if you didn't get to be together, if you guys didn't end up together, if you guys are getting divorced, man, then I've lost faith in love itself. So people do that. People 100% view other human beings as metaphors for these larger things, like love everywhere. Like this one individual relationship becomes a metaphor for all relationships everywhere. If you guys can't make it, no one can. So anyway, this is another kind of metaphor thing. But I want to. The poem is now over, and we've reached the end, and I think we understand all of it. But I want to talk a little bit about theme, because it seems like from reading the poem, the theme would be, I don't even know, that at least one of the themes is certainly that somehow love means you're both two people and one person at the same time. That is a theme. In the sense, that's an idea. That's the idea of the poem. What do you learn when you read this poem? You learn about the idea. It's a definition of love. The poem gives you the idea. It defines love in an interesting way, not in the way a dictionary would, but in a better way. That somehow love is both two and one at the same time. One of my favorite shows, which is probably a terrible show, but I like it. It's called Sense8. But on Sense8, it's from the same director as the Matrix. So in Sense8, there's one of the characters defines love, and he says that love is both selfish and unselfish, which is, again, like two and one. How can it be both at the same time? Those things are opposites. Love is selfish and unselfish because on the one hand, when you're in love with somebody, you only want the best for them. You want that person to keep winning. But love is also super selfish because they're you. They're your soulmate. So when they win, you win. It's like you're rooting for yourself when you're rooting for the other person that you love. I think that's a really good definition of love, and it's very similar to the idea here. And this is something you can always do with theme. Whenever you see a theme, an idea, it's worth thinking of another work of art that has that same idea. You saw me do that with Titanic and Saw, because they're very different movies that have the same theme. So it's always worth thinking about these kinds of things. When you see a theme, that you may be able to find another thing that has the same theme. Cool. So that's definitely one lesson you can take away from it. And the lesson that the birds take away from it is that these two birds symbolize love. And now that they're dead, love everywhere is dead. So in that sense, it seems like a really fucking depressing poem. But here's the kicker. I don't think it is a depressing poem. I actually think it's a really happy poem. And here's why. I think there's a twist. It's ironic. Let's talk about the big irony. The big irony in the poem. And remember, irony is always contrast. Something is always opposite to something else in irony. The big irony in the poem is, I think, the lessons the birds are getting out of this is the opposite lesson that I'm getting out of it by reading the poem. Why? Well, it's because they don't seem to know much about the phoenix. But I know about the phoenix. I know about the phoenix because I'm a fucking X-Men fan, and I know about the phoenix because of the Harry Potter movies, and if you know anything about ancient mythology, like ancient Greek mythology, then you know some shit about the phoenix. The phoenix is the phoenix is a mythological bird. It's not real. You cannot go anywhere to see a phoenix. Turtle dove is a completely normal animal you can definitely see, and it looks like a cute little bird. But I know some shit about the phoenix. Nobody in this poem ever mentions phoenixes are famous for one thing, and nobody in this poem mentions the one thing phoenixes are famous for. And I think it's because nobody in the poem knows. But as the guy at home reading the poem, the characters don't know because they don't have Wikipedia. But I, at home, I know some shit about phoenixes that they don't know. And here's what I know about phoenixes. And you know this if you know X-Men, and you know this if you know Harry Potter. Phoenixes are famous for exactly one thing. And that thing is burning up and turning into a pile of ashes and then being reborn. So at the end of the poem, the biggest irony in the poem is the last line of the poem is like, love everywhere is dead. But I know love will be back because the phoenix is back. It always comes back. That's the phoenix's thing. It resurrects itself. Jean Grey resurrects herself. Dumbledore's bird resurrects itself. It cannot die. And so that means that my takeaway from this is quite different. The lesson the characters in the poem learn is very different from the ones that I learn because I know more than they do. That's irony because their lesson is opposite to my lesson. Their lesson is love is dead. But my lesson, the one that I know, is that the phoenix will be back, which means love will be back, which is what life is like. You feel like when you get dumped, you'll never fall in love again. But then, like the phoenix, love comes back. Those feelings that you thought were dead come back after you get dumped. So it's ironic that their lesson is different from my lesson. It's also worth asking this question. The phoenix is a mythological bird that resurrects itself. So the phoenix is definitely coming back. Is the turtle dove coming back? Well, turtle dove's a regular bird, and regular birds, when they die, they stay fucking dead. So I guess it's a sad story because the phoenix is coming back without the turtle dove. Oh, wait. No, it's not. Because the entire point of the goddamn poem is that the phoenix and the turtle are one. They are one soul, one entity. If the phoenix comes back, the turtle dove is coming back because they share a soul. And if the phoenix is going to resurrect itself, then the turtle dove is getting resurrected with it, which means the characters in the story are like, these two died. It's the end of beauty and trustworthiness and love everywhere. But I'm reading the poem, and I know the phoenix and the turtle, because I learned my lesson paying attention to this poem, they're one. The phoenix and the turtle will be back, which means love will be back, which means the theme that I see is the opposite of one they see. They say love everywhere is dead forever, but I know love, like the phoenix, will always return. It's pretty good. And that's the poem. That's the poem. And that's what's interesting about it. You see how you need irony to be able to describe how my lesson, love lives forever, is the opposite of their lesson, love everywhere is dead. Their theme is different from the theme that I got out of it. Yeah, so that's the theme. But you see, you have to do all the pieces. You got to see everything at work. You saw a summary to understand what the hell is going on in this poem. And you got to see metaphor with the two birds are a metaphor for love and faithfulness. You got to see irony with all of this. Somehow they're two and one at the same time. That's ironic. That's contrast. That doesn't make sense. And you got to see theme, which the theme the birds came up with was that love is dead everywhere. But I think the theme is love never dies. And you got to see sound. In terms of the stanzas with Facebook. Let the bird of loudest lay on the sole Arabian tree. Facebook. You saw the pattern of rhyme that makes it stick with you. Yeah, and you got to see the whole thing. And I think that, and we got to connect it to other works of art, like the Batman comic book. Yeah, and the other thing we did is a little bit of research. The thing that I did with the phoenix was that you might want to do a little bit of research. So if a poem is about a phoenix, it might be worth it to find out what the fuck a phoenix is. Because you may discover, if you didn't look up if you're just like, phoenix is probably a bird. If you didn't look it up, you would miss the whole point of the poem. Because you wouldn't realize that the whole point of the phoenix is it brings itself back to life. And that if the phoenix and the turtle dove are one, then the turtle dove's coming back too. A little bit of research. That is everything we do in this class in one poem. Yeah, I'm going to do one more video about this poem because I'm almost done, but I will see you in the next video. Yeah.